baby. The college football season just continues to roll on and on. Week 4, another crazy week, another action-packed, so much to unpack, so much to talk about. We were so excited for this week, heading into it about how it was the biggest week of the season up to this point, and it came through. It came through. It did not disappoint. Welcome back to College Fall Fridays with Cole Thompson. And we're just going to get right into it. We're going to review week 4 just because of how crazy it was. I'm going to try to just hit the key points, key games. So I'm going to first start off by talking about the Colorado-Oregon game. This is what I saw coming. Listen, I've talked about it all year. They're going to get in against these other Pac-12 teams, these powerhouse teams like Oregon, like USC, like Washington, and they're going to get dog walked. And that's just what happened. And it's nothing against Deion Sanders. It's nothing against Shedeur Sanders. It's nothing against Travis Hunter. It's everything to do with the fact it takes more than one offseason, 1 year to build a championship caliber program, to build a successful program. Colorado's goal is to make a bowl game. If they make a bowl game, this is a beyond successful season from where they were. Honestly, I think no matter what happens, it's probably going to be a successful season regardless. It probably will be. You know, everybody looks at TCU. TCU last year was an outlier, and I know, everyone was so excited to be like, Colorado's going to be the next TCU, blah, 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 but it's just simply not, because it just doesn't happen. That's just not how college football works. Even with the transfer portal, you have to change the way the program is structured. You got to change the way the recruiting works, all of that stuff. Deion had to prove that he can put together a competent team at this level, because he did a great job at Jackson State, but Jackson State's not Colorado. And he's done that. He's put together a competent team. They have 2 Power 5 wins against TCU and Nebraska. They have a win against in-state rival Colorado State. So, yeah, obviously you would have liked to see them be more competitive against Oregon, but, this is what we expected. This is exactly what you expected with Colorado. Anyone who thought otherwise just did it off of what they want to happen, not what they thought was going to happen. This is exactly how Colorado's season was going to play out. They never stood a chance against Oregon. They don't have a chance against USC. They are not on their level. They're not on their level in any aspect. They're not on level. Listen, I think Deion's a great coach. I think he has the ability to be a better coach than these guys, but these guys have been coaching at this level for longer. They have that experience. So right now there's a slight coaching advantage going to guys like Lincoln Riley, going towards Oregon. Quarterback advantage goes towards Oregon, goes to USC. Defense advantage goes to Oregon, goes to USC, especially on the defensive end with Oregon. Oregon's defense was rocking on Saturday. They were all over the place, and their offense could not fail. The offense was untouchable. Defense was rocking. Offense is untouchable. Colorado had a nightmare scenario, and that's exactly what happened. I think we're going to see a lot of the same this week. Maybe a little bit better because USC's defense is a little worse, but USC might score 70 points like themselves just because of how good USC's offense is. You thought Bo Nix was bad? Caleb Williams is going to decimate Colorado's defense. Caleb Williams is going to decimate Colorado's defense. Colorado's offense, I think, will do a little bit better. I think they'll score a little bit more this week. I think right now, I'll talk about that game more, but I think they're going to score probably somewhere around 21 points. San Jose State put up 21 points against USC, so they'll probably put up 21 to maybe 30 at the most, but they're going to give up 60, 70 points this week. They're going to get ripped apart. They're going to get torn to shreds. So next game I want to talk about was the Florida that was week 3. I'm sorry. Week 4. Where'd it go? Where's the game I wanted to talk about? Oh, we'll go with Clemson versus Florida State. Oh, my God. This new mic, now I can't do my clap because I knocked this thing around. But, Clemson apps, they really honestly just proved that Clemson is not the program that they were when they had Trevor Lawrence, when they had Deshaun Watson. This is not the same Clemson program. They don't have the ssame culture. They seem not to have the same attitude. And I don't know if it's a Dabo thing, if it's a player thing. I don't know what the issue is, but this is not the same Clemson that we saw in 2016 to about 2019 when they were running out there and winning competing at a national championship level on a yearly basis. This is not that Clemson team. They can't finish the game. I know the whole thing with the kicker, blah, 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 but they couldn't get the job done. And then in overtime, their play calls, I don't know why they were just not keeping the ball on the ground. Why they didn't just keep the ball on the ground late in the game instead of trying to have Cade Klubnik throw the ball. They had a perfect opportunity to keep Will Shipley was playing out of his mind, and Clemson decided to put the ball in Cade Klubnik's hands. Cade Klubnik is not that good. He's not an elite college quarterback. He's just not. I know he was supposed to be the savior of this Clemson program that was falling apart under DJ, but he's not. It's just not the way it is. Maybe it's the way the offense is set up, but a lot of poor decisions offensively down the stretch. And even when he would throw it, it seemed like every time it was a third or fourth and short in a big opportunity, he would not throw it to Shipley. Will Shipley, who was probably the best player on the field for Clemson that day, played out of his mind, and they did not get the ball to him in the biggest moments of the game, and that is the exact reason why Clemson lost. They did not rely on their best player. It's simple as that. One more game I want to touch on. We're going to touch on one more, big one, obviously. We are going to go down to Notre Dame versus Ohio State. What a game. I wasn't really impressed with Kyle McCord. I was okay with, Kyle McCord played good. He wasn't crazy. Trayvon Henderson was very good. The running backs, the defense, I think this game was more about how good the defenses were compared to how diminishing the offenses. I think I was more impressed with the defenses than I was concerned about either side's offenses. Both defense plays great. Honestly, I was more concerned with Ohio State than the way Ohio State played than Notre Dame. I think Ohio State won just because they got the ball last. They just got the ball last, and Notre Dame did what everybody in every level of football does, and I still don't get it, why you do this soft coverage and you'll put yourself in a bad position now because Ohio State was able to chip down the field. It just sometimes you play too conservative and it comes back to bite you in the butt. And I think that's what happened with Notre Dame. I think obviously, you're trying to run the ball, milk some clock, whatever, but they kind of just ran it right into the defense when they got the ball back after that egregious 4th and 1 play call by Ohio State. They kind of just ran it right into the teeth of the defense, which didn't make I get it. You're just trying to milk clock, but at the same time, it doesn't make too much sense to do that. Cause now you got to punt the ball. They punt the ball back and the rest is history. Ohio State great play by Marvin Harrison to get the ball to the 1 yard line, and Ohio State just gets in and there's no time for Notre Dame to do anything to come back. So I'm not really concerned about Notre Dame long-term. I still think this, I said all year, I think Notre Dame one loss and they probably are going to miss the playoff. I think if they're going to lose a game and get away with it, it's going to be this one. And who knows how things shake out. It's still so early to tell, so hard to tell. But at this point, I think with the way Notre Dame schedule is structured, they still have a pretty good shot, in my opinion. If they're going to be able to lose a game and get away with it, it's going to be to Ohio State, especially if Ohio State does beat Michigan and Penn State and wins the Big Ten. So I'm not too concerned for Notre Dame. Ohio State, really just the same things. It seems like Ryan Day. I talked about it with Gabby last week. It just seemed like Ryan Day didn't put a lot of trust in Kyle McCord. Maybe late he did, but he did not put as much trust in Kyle McCord as I would have liked to see. Defense played great. That's awesome. Rough play calling at the end of the game for Notre Dame or for Ohio State. Obviously, still don't get why they ran that stupid jet sweep reverse, whatever it was, jet sweep reverse. I can't remember off the top of my head. And on 4th and 2, damn near cost you the game. It might have cost Ryan Day's job, but I think Ryan Day gets overhated on a lot of times. But I wasn't very impressed with some of the decisions down the stretch. I wish, I know in the big games, I wish he would just trust his quarterbacks a little bit more. We saw him do it with CJ Stroud against Georgia, and it worked out for him. We saw what he did, similar play calling with they've done the last few years against Michigan. I think Michigan's is obviously better than Ohio State or Notre Dame. So that's what it comes down to on that front. But all right, enough of that. Let's get into my college football top 10 teams in the entire country. It's got shaken up a bit. I won't lie to you. We got a little shaken up here. It's not what it was. Some teams moving up, some teams moving down. Some teams honestly didn't even lose. And I was like, I don't even want you up here anymore. Let me just find this real quick. I should. Okay. I'll start off with at number 10, we have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I know they just lost, blah, 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 but really, it's Utah or them for that 10 spot probably. I just want to give the edge to Notre Dame. They lost to a very good Ohio State team. You lose to a team like Ohio State, I don't want to hurt you too much, so I'm going to put Notre Dame at number 10. I still have confidence that this can be a very good team. Still confident this can be a college football playoff level team. They're just going to have to go perfect the rest of the way, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with how brutal their schedule is. But, they have a good chance to get a nice bounce back win against Duke this week, and we'll see. But I mean, they still got to play USC. They still have to play. They got to play USC, Duke, Clemson. So they got a rough road ahead of them. But nonetheless, this still can be a very, very good team. Still love Estime. Still love Sam Hartman. Still think Mark Freeman's doing a phenomenal job. But for now, they'll sit at number 10. At number 9, I have Oregon. I know they just blew the doors off of Colorado, but I wasn't super high on Colorado, so I'm not. Oregon's not going to get a bump over some of these teams that I think are right around their level. I think it's really weird. I think 5 through 9 are so. I wouldn't even say it's just so weird. I feel like one is clearly Georgia, obviously. 10 is like clearly like Notre Dame or Utah, but I feel like 2 through 9 is so tight. But I'm gonna put Oregon here for now, just because I feel like they haven't had to go through as brutal as a schedule, or I just didn't have them as high to start the season. I just don't think they haven't caught my eye up as much up until this week. But obviously, the way Oregon's playing, they're completely in the conversation to win a national championship and compete. I think all 10 of these teams on this list can win a national championship realistically this year. I think it's that tight. But I'm gonna have Oregon at number 9. At number 8, I have USC. The way their offense has played, it's continued to play at a great level. They haven't really. Their defense disappoints me from time to time. Every once in a while, it seems like they have a game like 28 against Arizona State. A little disappointing to see. Stanford. I mean, it seems like every once in a while they're going to have a disappointing game defensively, like they did against San Jose State, like they did against Arizona State. But Colorado this week, we'll see how it goes. Listen, Colorado, the only way they're going to be able to beat them is if they're going to have to score 1,000 points, because they're not going to be able to stop USC. I think USC gets a win, and I think they have a chance to, use it to their favor this week. But I have USC coming in at number 8. At number 7, I have another Pac-12 team. I have the Washington Huskies. Michael Penix is an absolute dog. This Washington team continues to roll. They have some tough tests coming up here. Obviously, they get Arizona this week, should be a breeze. And then we got a very big game against Oregon next week. The following week. They get Oregon and what's going to be a massive game for not only the Pac-12 championship implications, but college football playoff implications. So Washington, the way their offense is playing, their defense, a little disappointing against Cal, 32 points. That's a lot. Up until that point, their defense had played great. So I'm very interested to see how their defense plays against Arizona this week. But yeah, they got a little tough stretch here. They got 4 games, and they have, you got US, man, they do have a brutal end of the season. Of their last, 8 games, 5 of them are against ranked teams. That's a brutal stretch. So Washington's got a brutal stretch. That's why I don't think they're going to be able to be a CFP team. But nonetheless, just the way Washington's offense is playing, the way Michael Penix Jr. is playing, I still think Michael Penix Jr. can definitely win the Heisman, especially if he goes toe-to-toe with Caleb Williams and takes him down. But Washington at number 7. At number 6, I have the Michigan Wolverines. And really, it's not as much of the fault on Michigan. It is just everybody on the list has done something more impressive than them. Everybody above them has done something more impressive than what Michigan has done up to this point. And it's on Michigan for the schedule that they play. But it took a while for them to get going against Rutgers. I know they probably would have shut out Rutgers if it wasn't for the one big play. But it took a while for Michigan to get going against Rutgers. And it continues to scare me. I feel like J.J. McCarthy still is not playing to the caliber player that they're going to need him to play to. I know he had 200 yards and a touchdown. But nonetheless, Michigan I still have some question marks. Again, it's not as much on Michigan. It's more about the fact that everybody else ahead of them has done something impressive against a ranked opponent. And we'll get to that with number 5, the Penn State Nittany Lions. Shut out Iowa at the whiteout. I said Iowa might not score a point, and they didn't. And their offense was balling too. There was time. I was a very, very good defensive team. And Penn State kind of really was able to ramp that up against them. So I gave them the nod over Michigan just for that alone. Again, Michigan, feel like Michigan was at my 2 to start season. And for a long time, they're at my 2. And it's not because I don't think Michigan's not the second best team in the country. But I think I'm trying to do this based off of resumes up to this point. I'm trying to do each team's resume and stack them up against each other. Obviously, there is that pre-rankings that come into play. If they don't lose, whatever. But based off of resume alone, Penn State has a win against West Virginia. Penn State has a win against Iowa. against two pretty good teams. I mean, a win against Illinois, it depends. You prefer Illinois or Rutgers? I'd probably go Rutgers. So yeah, Michigan's best win being against Rutgers is not a good start to this sign, but there's nothing they can really do about it. I mean, they get Minnesota. They get Nebraska this week, so I mean, they better beat them. They get Minnesota the week after, and then they get Indiana. Then they get Michigan State. I mean, they really probably are going to cruise into that Penn State game undefeated. But nonetheless, they've done what they needed to. So I'm going to try to avoid discrediting them too much. But I got Michigan at 6, Penn State at 5. At number 4, I have the Texas Longhorns. Hey, man, a win is a win in my book. They got the job done against Baylor this week to remain undefeated. I don't remember the score. Yeah, they blew them out. Okay, never mind. I thought that game was a lot closer than it was. They blew them out the water. Yeah, Baylor's bad this year. Texas' offense is still elite. I think they're defensively they're going to they might struggle a little bit this week against Kansas, but offensively I don't think they skip a beat. Really, it's just I feel like Georgia's been. You're the 2-time national champions. The only way I'm going to really knock you down, the back-to-back national champions, the only way I'm going to knock you down is if you lose. So that's why I can't put them. And the other 2 teams ahead of them other than Georgia, I feel like have either 2 very impressive wins or have a better win than Texas has. So in referring to their win over Alabama. So Texas sits at number 4 for now. I mean, really Oklahoma is their last team standing in their way of being a college football playoff team. So I'm going to go with Texas at number 4. At number 3, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes. Hey, listen, I told Gabby, I told everybody, if Ohio State wins, they're going to get right back up there in that college football playoff picture. Florida State's my 2, Georgia's my 1. So, so at number 2, I have Florida State, and at number 1, I have Georgia. But the discrepancy between is I will take those wins in LSU and at a neutral site against, or in Clemson and a neutral site against LSU over that win at Notre Dame. Resume-wise, I think those, especially when Florida State still had to play more Power 5 teams compared to Ohio State up to this point. So I'm gonna give Florida State the little edge over Ohio State for now. But if they both win out, Ohio State's definitely getting the edge. So I have Ohio State at 3, Florida State at 2, and Georgia at 1. I mean, come on, this team really hasn't. They were a little skittish coming out the gate against South Carolina a week ago, but they really didn't miss a beat. I mean, Auburn, maybe they can give them some trouble. I mean, their defense looked I was a little concerned with the way they played defensively against UAB, giving up 21 points, but nothing that's really going to make me jump off the screen and be like, hey, whoa, let's calm down. So for now, Georgia's perfectly fine as the number 1 team in the country. They've earned that right. They're going to stay there at this point. But yeah, I got a couple minutes left, so I'm going to go over my 5 favorite plays for this weekend in college football. Starting off, I have Syracuse plus 6.5. I'm putting 2.5 units on it. Listen, I'm going to contradict myself here. I'll put that play up next in a second. But after that loss, Clemson obviously is feeling so depleted, so down now. They got to go up to upstate New York and take on a Syracuse team that's undefeated, and the season's still pretty much there. I mean, obviously, being a Power 5 team, if you go undefeated, you can make the playoff. But Clemson's feeling defeated. Syracuse has something to prove in a big win that would skyrocket Syracuse into being into that conversation up there with Duke, Florida State, North Carolina. Probably not Florida State. Florida State's probably clearly the best team at this point, but with North Carolina and Duke as who's the second best team in the ACC. I think Syracuse makes this a very, very tough game. I wish I would have got this earlier when it was at 7 or 7.5. I wasn't able to get on it, but I'll take it at 6.5 still. I'm going to say Clemson probably still sneaks out a win, but Syracuse is definitely going to give them some trouble. Next up, I have Kentucky money line. I am not a fan of Graham Mertz, especially going on a road against it's still a tough Kentucky team. It's a rivalry game that's going to give them some trouble here. This Florida team I really don't think is great. I think they beat Tennessee and they beat a down Tennessee team. So it really depends on if they're able to pull that off again. But I just think Kentucky, they're right around each other. I'm going to take the home team, and I know the money is going to be laid on Florida. This is more from a science, like an analytical sports betting angle than just a feeling on it. This next one is actually a feeling, though. I'm going to take Kentucky money line at minus 120 for 2.5 units. Next up, I have Kansas and Texas to go over 61. I said it a little bit ago when I was talking about Texas on why they're the number 4 team. I think Kansas's offense is going to give some give Texas defense some trouble this week. Texas defense, we see sometimes does do that. I think it's going to happen this week. I think they're going to be able to give them some trouble, cause some chaos for Texas. Ultimately, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think Texas probably still wins. I'm going to probably go like 45-31. But I think this clears that 61.5 mark pretty comfortably here. I really do like Kansas' offense and Jalen Daniels to give them Texas some trouble. So I will take Kansas over 60 and Texas over 61.5. All right, I used my FanDuel boost to get this USC minus 120 at plus 116 for a unit and a half. I said it before. I think USC blows the doors off of them. I do think Colorado, though, is going to be a lot better offensively than they were a week ago. I think just a better matchup for them, a less prepared defense, not as much of a defensive minded team. So I'm going to trust Colorado. I'm going to trust USC's offense a lot here. Caleb Williams, obviously, I think the best player in college football, the defending Heisman, probably is going to end up winning it again at this point. But I mean, Colorado's defense is awful. They're no good. They're really, really, really bad. And they're going to get beat up. I do think Colorado scores some points here, though. I'm going to probably say USC wins somewhere around like 56-28, something along that lines. And I think they cover this 20.5. I think this is more about how good USC's offense is compared to, I know I still get that narrative that I hate Deion, I hate Colorado. I don't. I just want to look. I just look at it from the optimistic angle of, as fun as this team is, like I was cheering for them to beat Colorado State. I was, even though I bet on Colorado State just because I had a boost or whatever, and I got them at like plus 300,000. Yeah, I was cheering for them against Colorado State. They're a fun team to watch, but I just looking at it from an objective angle. I think this team's gonna have is gonna be a national championship level team in a couple of years. Right now, I'm gonna say it every week. This is not what they are yet. They'll be, if they make a bowl game, that is a 1,000,000% great, phenomenal win. I still think they're going to fall short of a bowl game. I have them they're going to be right there. I have them right now at 5 wins. I think they're going to beat Arizona State. I think they're going to beat Stanford, or they're going to beat Arizona. They're going to beat Stanford. Arizona State, I think, might get them, though, the way Arizona State's playing. So they're going to be right around that mark. Can they make a bowl game? Yes, but are they going to? I don't see them pulling off any big-time upsets. I think they're just going to get bullied a little bit here. I'm going to take USC minus 20.5. And my last play of the week, this is the one I was saying was contradicting. I have Notre Dame minus 5.5. I know I just said Clemson coming off of a tough loss at home against the team, now having to travel. Notre Dame's doing the same thing, so you would think I jump all over Duke. Wrong, opposite. Notre Dame's season still has alive, and I mean season, I mean their college football playoff aspirations are still alive. And if you look at Clemson's, they're really not. Clemson does not really have college football playoff aspirations at this point in the season. Notre Dame does. I think they bounce back in a big way, expecting a huge game from Sam Hartman and Estime. Follow me on Twitter. Make sure, because not only my full card for tonight's already up, my full card for the weekend will be up tomorrow. All my NFL plays, when the UFC comes back, all my plays ever will be up there. But I might be adding Notre Dame's team total over. I don't know what it's at, but I might be adding it just because I think this Notre Dame team is absolute. This offense is going to light Duke up this week. I think Duke's due for a letdown. They've kind of been on this nice little run. I think this is where it falls short against a very, very good Notre Dame team, in my opinion. So give me Notre Dame minus 5.5. And that's going to conclude this week's episode of College Football Fridays with Cole Thompson. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Like I said, make sure you go follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to refer to it to. I don't really care, because that's where all my college football plays will be up for this week. They'll be up probably pretty early tomorrow, probably like 10 in the morning. They'll be up. They might be up tonight. If I'm feeling good, they might be up tonight. I still got to look into some things. I want to see, where some other sharps are laying their money and stuff, or I won't say other sharps, where some people are laying, where the general consensus is. I want to see where that late push on the money comes in and stuff like that, especially on that Ole Miss LSU game, which I think is going to be a very, very good game. But all my plays will be out on Twitter here either tonight or tomorrow. But thank you guys for tuning in once again, and we will see you guys next week when we go over week 6. Peace.